What's up, y'all? How are you guys doing on this Monday? I hope everything is well with you. My name is Shantae Bliss-Barr. I am the author of Stained Glass Windows for Butterflies, a poetry book with essays full of movement, and it depicts my transition from hurt to healing. I will link in the description. I will add links in the description if you are interested in purchasing. But I am also a celibacy coach and a healthy mindset coach. I coach women on healing through celibacy, and I coach both men and women on taking back control of their lives after a mental health diagnosis for either them or family members, loved ones, just to understand uh, mental health care system that isn't always so kind to people of color. So, as you guessed from the announcement, I am going on my 12th year of practicing peace. It is my 11th year in my 11th month this week. And the Holy Spirit moved me to talk about my journey. So today I want to discuss how to counter slut culture. Okay, so I want to actually bring this. I want to show you guys something really fast. Let me share my screen with you. Your healing is something. It takes time, but I recommend that everybody takes that journey to heal. So I'm reading from, this is the NIV. This is Mark 2, and I am starting at the 21st verse. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment. Otherwise, the new piece will pull away from the old, making the tear worse. And no one pours new wineskin into old wineskins. Otherwise, the wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskin. So let's take, let me take a moment to celebrate with a glass of wine this new chapter in my life, new beginnings. Here I go. Good. So today, again, the discussion is countering slut culture. But also, let me give a disclaimer before I do anything else. I am not a licensed therapist, but I do have a master of psychology, master of science in psychology. This ain't the wine. That's my first one. So wine. What it is a little bit of nervousness. And I also have allergies, and I do take allergy medicine but enough with the. So again, this is countering slut culture. What is slut culture, though? First, let me say this. I'm not here to shame anyone. I'm here to help those free. I'm here to help people free themselves. The ones who have been conditioned to believe that sex is freedom. But what does freedom lead to? Freedom to abuse your body by having sex with multiple partners. Freedom to corrupt your spirit by allowing other people's spirit to attach to your spirit. Freedom to destroy your body with STDs and other sexually transmitted infections. Freedom to send you on an emotional roller coaster until you detach from your body. Some form unhealthy attachments in the name of love, while others have sex, casual sex, and hide behind walls to keep from getting hurt, which ultimately only hurts them in the long run. Excuse me, you guys know that I have allergies. I'm an 80s baby, and I grew up in the midst of three generations. My mother and my father were both young when they had me, so I grew up in their generation. I grew up learning from them. But I went to live with my grandparents from 9 to 13, and then again from 15 until I went to college. My generation, so I also learned from them, right? And my generation, the 80s babies, are known as latchkey kids, right? Because we spent a lot of time by ourselves. My generation grew up in the church with our grandparents. And I swear, if I was not at church at least three, look, there was junior choir rehearsal, gospel choir rehearsal, because I had to go with my grandma. And then there was church. And then sometimes, sometimes we had these, they taught us how to cook, I can't remember what it was called, sometimes. And on Sundays, sometimes we there all day. But those were the good old times, right? But then, after church, right? you know, uh, uh, we're listening to secular music, and that was a normal thing. There's nothing wrong with that, right? We listened from everything from down home blues to R&B, hip hop, rock, jazz, and me growing up in the house with Southern grandparents, country music. The dichotomy of the music left us all confused. And I don't really know if any other, 80s baby or anybody who grew up in the church can actually, say that they knew the church business, people, grown folks' business. You know how Deacon such and such was messing with Sister such and such. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, but as latchkey kids, we were also forced to grow up fast, right? So we would be at home by ourselves, and there was always the rule: don't let nobody in this house. I don't want nobody in this house while I'm not here. Or make sure you come home and you stay home. However, we did sneak out to our friend's house, so we snuck people into our house. And I remember one time, actually I skipped school this day. I skipped no, I didn't skip school. I left school, and me and my friend went to our friend's house, and her parents allowed her to drink, her and her sister to drink. And we were there by ourselves. And we were playing the Ouija board, we were drinking alcohol, and sometimes depending on the person, whose house that we were at, there were adult magazines and videos. And, we smoked a little bit of, marijuana. Most of us though lost our virginity before we turned 16. We didn't know anybody. You know, um, some became parents at a very early age and were left to raise their children on their own. I would often hear things like with adults talking to other adults, when they found out their daughter was pregnant. I can't tell her anything now. She grown. What are you talking about? She's not grown. She still needs to be raised. She still needs to be guided because she has to guide this child. But with government programs in place that allow these teenage girls to move out of their homes, a lot of them did not finish school. A lot of the values that they needed were not passed down to them. And what does that mean? That means there was and still is a decline of moral values. Again, I'm not here to judge anybody, especially those who are aware of the repercussions of the lack of moral values, who don't learn. But a decline in moral values gave birth to slut culture. So I had a conversation with a pimp. Seriously, no lie. I had a conversation with a pimp, and we were on the conversation about proper ways to dress. And, I think I had an outfit on, and he was talking to me about this. He wasn't a pimp at the time, he was a former pimp, you know. And we were just having a conversation, and, he told me, he said, it's the influence of the prostitutes who went to smaller cities with their pimps that influenced the way smaller women in smaller cities dress. He said he remembered when he came to upstate New York. I can't remember where he was from, but I remember he said that there were pimps that brought women from Detroit, Chicago, and New York City, and they brought them to parties, and they had to wear clothes that made them stand out from other women. And so the other women had no idea that these were prostitutes. So they wanted to emulate these women because they liked the way they dressed. And thus, you know, it goes deeper than that, but I'm getting this from a pimp, and he was very intelligent. It is what it is, you know. And I remember, being in the streets, I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of older friends who also guided me on what to do, what not to do, as far as disrespecting myself, to never disrespect myself. You know, um, so I heard a lot of stories, but I remember one of my friends, she was in her late 20s, early 30s. Her daughter is not that much younger than me. I was like 18, 19 at the time. And I think her daughter had been like 10, maybe. And, I remember the outfit that she wore, and I'm looking at her like, Dad, you finna wear that? But, you don't really think nothing. It's the style, because, you see somebody, that you look up to, and you automatically, you're influenced by them, and that's okay. That's what we do. That's who we are as human beings, right? We learn from each other. We're social creatures. So fast forward, now her daughter, is older. And this was a little while ago, not that long ago, a little while ago. Her daughter's older. Her daughter's in her 20s, was in her 20s. Her daughter's in her 30s now. Yeah, about 30, I think. Um, so when her daughter was in her 20s, I don't think she had yet hit 20. Her skirts got shorter. It was just like, honey, why wear anything at all? You don't have to wear anything dressed like that. But then, and today, most of now I'm not gonna say excuse me. I don't mean to say most, but today women are wearing sheer outfits, sheer dresses, pantsuits, or fishnet dresses and pantsuits with nothing but underwear underneath them, and they expect to be treated with respect. But how, mind you, this is the way prostitutes and strippers dressed. Again, I'm not here to shame anybody. I was once lost too. I was. I remember I had these skin tight jeans on, and I was a lot smaller then. And I had a shirt, a spaghetti strap shirt on, and all it did was cover up my breast, just a little bit of my breast. And you can't tell me I wasn't cute. This the style, okay? So I trot downstairs. My grandfather outside. I'm gonna go see my boy. I asked my grandfather, "How do I look?" And he said, "Like you finna go stand on the street corner." Cause I was my grandfather princess, okay? It's like that hurt my feelings. Like I know doggone well he didn't say that to me. So I'm like, "What you say?" He said, "Like you finna go stand on the street corner." And I was heated. I rushed to my car, mumbling, so he couldn't hear me though, because I didn't care. He didn't care whether I was in my 20s or not. He could still do me up. Okay, okay. But he didn't. But he could. Um, and I went to a store, and I was following to a store, and the guy was very aggressive, and I didn't like that. So I didn't understand until later that you can't expect to be respected, and dress any kind of way. It's just not going to happen. It's wishful thinking. So it took me a little while to really, you know, uh, get it together. I was just as confused about sex as everyone else. And it wasn't until I was sitting in my car, I was going to Onondaga Community College, and I'm waiting for a class. I just didn't feel like being bothered, because I had a lot of friends. And sometimes I just needed space and I just needed to be by myself. I just wanted to breathe and think. And as soon as I stepped out of my car and into the building, there was somebody. And I just needed to be by myself that day. And all I'm listening to the radio, all I'm hearing is, "Bag a lady, you gonna hurt your back. Dragging all those bags like that. I guess nobody ever told you. All you must hold on to is you. Oh, yes, they do." And so, I started thinking, I immediately was getting convicted. And I loved the song. It wasn't the first time hearing the song. I loved the song. And I developed a love hate relationship with that song because it was convicting me. It was forcing me to look at myself. And not too much later, I began to practice celibacy. I started thinking that I was practicing celibacy, but you never know. I just knew that I needed to heal. I was going through a lot of things. I had a lot of baggage, from a couple of abusive relationships. My husband held me captive in a house. Still hard for me to, even think about it, but my husband held me captive in a house. Um, I was away from my mother. My second father was my stepfather, but he's my second father. My siblings, and my father was incarcerated in New York State Correctional Facility from the time I was 12 until I was 24. I was sexually abused at the age of 7. I was raped at 14, a few weeks shy of my 15th birthday. And then I was raped again by somebody different at the age of 15. I had to go through the legal system, which was not working for me me. They didn't. It was like they didn't really care. You know, there wasn't any empathy. I never got um, referred to any counseling. Nothing. Nothing. And I was also running the streets, and my grandparents were way too old to be running after me in the streets. And besides, I'm still the good girl in the streets, but I'm just looking and learning, and I'm drinking. I'm sexually active. I've been up the street and around the corner, but I ain't really been around the whole block. Okay, and I could. That's not something that I can deny. I've been up the street and around the corner. But I never got in any trouble when I was in the streets. And I never did anything to honor myself, my grandparents, my mother, my father, my family. I didn't know much about love or how to express love. I grew up listening to songs like, There's a meeting in my bedroom. And ooh, I wanna set you up and 12 play, give up a live. I grew up with songs like that. And so when you grow up listening to songs like that and you grow up listening to this love songs, you begin to equate love and sex. There's no differentiation. The lines are blurred, right? So in 2002, when I began my celibacy, I assumed that I was really doing it the right way. I abstained from sex more than I was celibate. I had a friend who liked kissing me and didn't expect to be kissed back, if you get what I mean. I also had a boyfriend. When my boyfriend was incarcerated, he was my first one. And in 2006, after he died. One of my ex-boyfriends came around. He, was very close with my grandparents, and he came to the funeral, and we talked, and it was nothing. And he came to my house one day. I had moved out after my grandfather dad had moved out, and he came to check on me. And we were on my couch, and he was comforting me. And one thing led to another, and I woke up singing, "This can't be good. This can't be good." Janet Jackson. Because I couldn't take it back. So after my boyfriend and I broke up, I was hurt and I needed, you know, love. At least that's what I thought. And I was also on the rebound. Only I thought that it was the thing to do. I was, hanging with women who were loose. One of my friends at the time, she said she had been sexually violated and she was detached from her body. And it explained why every time I looked around, she had a new friend. And she had multiple sexual partners, you know. And I think it influenced me in a way. And I didn't have multiple sexual partners at one time. But I thought it was okay to, you know, be on the rebound, to get a little loose. Only I began to feel like Jill Scott and Epiphany. In 2010, I was attending Rockport College at the time. And all the pressure that was on me so much. You have to go back to some of my previous videos. It was a little bit too much for me. And I could no longer live up to this strong black woman myth that broke me. That breaks a lot of us because it's not something that we can live up to. We can't carry everything on our own. We can fall and get back up, and yes, we're resilient. But that resilience is means nothing if you're not healing. You're just piling crap on, and then you break. After my breakdown, I had a nervous breakdown. Okay, thank God though. Thank God. Thank God. Let me sip to that. Pour some new wine into new wine skin. Let me drink to that. I felt empty and drained. I wasn't even sure if I loved myself. After getting out of the hospital in 2010, because my doctor committed me because I would not stop crying. I couldn't stop crying. And there was no more. And I remember, telling her, see, I'm okay. And she was like, nah, that's not going to work with me. And she committed me to the hospital, and she should have. But I ended up meeting a guy. And so, I'm in need of love. And we made plans to spend the one weekend together. This was November 8th, and we were at the hotel. And I literally got sick to my stomach, and my skin crawled every time he touched me. We never did anything that night. And I began to, you know, the healing process began only I was fighting against it. And I ended up meeting a stud, a girl, we'll call her TJ. And she drained whatever was left in me. I mean, I was drained spiritually and emotionally. I remember crying my New Year's in one year, and I believe that was 2012, 2011. I'm sorry. Yeah. It, anyways, I cried my New Year's in. And having this relationship with her, as well as another few, they were my first, real relationships with females. Every question I had about my sexuality, I answered. It was answered. And, I realized that I am not gay. Do I still feel the attraction? I do. Sexual attraction? No. 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 And that is God is my witness, and I don't have anything to prove to any. But I went on this journey of self love. I stopped trying to find love and trying to find someone to love me. And I found the love within myself. I found it was building this beautiful relationship with God, even though I was still fighting against God. And we'll go into that another time. But during my sixth year, I was tempted. I was speaking to an ex, and I was tempted. And and I really liked him. That's the thing. I really liked him. And after about almost 2 hours on the phone, he gave up. And when I hung the phone up, I realized, oh my goodness, that was my sixth year. And I was moving into my seventh year, which also is the beginning. That is a godlike, you take on a godlike spirit. You level up spiritually, you know. But it wasn't always easy, right? You know, I'm still a woman. I'm still, I'm not without feeling. I still fight my flesh. I still want to be touched with love. And who doesn't? Who doesn't want to be touched with love? You know, who doesn't want that intimacy? You know, but going through this, I found I needed a deeper connection with someone. So it's not that hard. But as women, we go through certain times, you know, and our hormones are, sometimes out of control. It is what it is. Come with the territory, the territory of being a woman. So God has been guiding me and waking me up and moving me. And I just wanted to read some scriptures to you today. First, I want to read. I want to read Galatians. I want to share my screen with you, and we can read it together. So this is Galatians 5, freedom in Christ. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery, the sexual freedom. Mark my words, I, Paul, tell you that if you let yourselves be circumcised, Christ will be of no value to you at all. Again, I declare to every man who lets himself be circumcised that he is obligated to obey the whole law. You who are trying to be justified by the law have been alienated from Christ and have fallen away from grace. For through the Spirit we eagerly await by faith the righteousness for which we hope. For in Christ Jesus neither circumcision nor uncircumcision has any value. The only thing that counts is faith expressing itself through love. While you were running a good race, who cut in on you to keep you from obeying the truth? That kind of persuasion does not come from the one who calls you. A little yeast works through the whole batch of dough. I am confident in the Lord that you will take no other view. The one who is throwing you into confusion, whoever that may be, will have to pay the penalty. Brothers and sisters, I am still preaching circumcision. Why am I still being persecuted? In that case, the offense of the cross has been abolished. As for those agitators, I wish they would go the whole way and emasculate themselves. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. Do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. If you bite and devour each other, watch out, or you will be destroyed by each other. So I say, walk in the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the flesh desires what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit what is contrary to the flesh. They are in conflict with each other, so that you are not to do whatever you want. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. The acts of the flesh are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity, and debauchery, idolatry and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, self-abomination, dissensions, factions, and envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the like. I warn you, as I did before, that those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom. But because we're talking about the flesh and the spirit, right? Let's go to John 3, one of my favorites. Actually, Second Timothy 3. I'm 2 Timothy 3 is one of my favorites. But this is also one of my favorites. See, Jesus teaches Nicodemus. Now there was a Pharisee, a man named Nicodemus, who was a member of the Jewish ruling council. He came to Jesus and said, he came to Jesus that night and said, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher who has come from God, for no one could perform the signs you are doing if God were not with him. Jesus replied, very truly I tell you, no one can see the kingdom of God unless they are born again. How can someone be born when they are old? Nicodemus asked. Surely they cannot enter a second time into their mother's womb to be born. Jesus answered, very truly I tell you, no one can enter the kingdom of God unless they are born of water and the Spirit. Flesh gives birth to flesh, but the Spirit gives birth to spirit. You should not be surprised at me saying, you must be born again. The wind blows but wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born in the Spirit. Now, so when Jesus says in John 3:6, flesh gives birth to flesh, but the Spirit gives birth to spirit. Let me explain a little bit to you about what the Spirit gave to me. Flesh giving birth to flesh, that is the mother and us passing through the water, her water breaking. We pass through her water. Spirit, you have to level up in spirit. You have to rise up in spirit. You have to detach from your flesh. You have to detach from your flesh. We cannot please the flesh and please God at the same time. Let me go, and this is unplanned. I was not planning to do this. I'm going to go to my own Bible because I have a Bible on my computer. I got those passages off of Bible Gateway, just so you know. So let me share my screen with you again. And I actually want to go to let's I need to go to I should have done this. Again, this is not planned. Let's go to Genesis 3. The fall. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, did God actually say, you shall not eat of any fruit in the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden. But God said, you should not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it lest you die. But the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die. For God knows that when you eat of its fruit, that when you eat of it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was a delight to the eyes and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both were opened, and they knew that they were both naked, and they sewed fig trees together and made themselves loincloths. Now, first of all, we may believe that the original sin was them eating the fruit, but it was actually listening to the serpent when God had already instructed them on what to do. So he sowed a seed of doubt. This is what's happening today. This is why women are confused and they believe that this whole sexual freedom and revolution, you know, it's what they desire, what they want, it's them, and they don't see that it's conditioning, social conditioning them. But also, I'm not going to go into this right now because there's no time. But we are the fruit, we are the tree, and if you think about it, the seed comes from the man and is cultivated in the woman. We are the fruit. What they did was they committed a sexual sin that was not right in the eyes of God. Otherwise, their eyes would not have been open to the fact that they were naked. We'll get into that later. And that was something that the Holy Spirit gave to me because I asked years ago, and God, it wasn't until I became clean that God revealed this to me. It wasn't until I was in my 10th year, maybe ninth, 10th year, believe ninth year of practicing celibacy. Do I want to always practice celibacy? No, of course. I want to get married and I want to give myself to my husband. So that was three. Now, but let's go to, because I had, and I hate that it actually ended up this way. It's not something that, I meant any harm by when I when I commented on someone's post. Um, I don't think that she really understood what I was saying. I didn't want to start an argument with her, and I wasn't arguing with her. I was just pointing out that this is something that we're dealing with today. We don't respect, the work that our parents put in. Oops. We, we don't respect, I am so sorry. We don't respect the work that our parents have put in, and it's not all about money, right? When you live your life according to, getting money in it, I got money in, you'll do anything for that money, including corrupting your spirit. But godlessness in the last days. But understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness but denying its power. Avoid such people, for among them are those who creep into households and capture weak women, burdened with sins and led astray by various passions, always learning and never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth. This is something that we are dealing with now. This is slut culture. Again, I do not want to offend anyone. That is not my intentions. But my intentions are to teach. I'm not here to preach. I have gone through some things myself. And if I can help someone, if I can help free someone, then that is what I'm supposed to do, right? So I would love to hear from you guys. Hello to everybody who tuned in. I will answer your questions later. You can always check out my links that I will add in the description. Again, new wine and new wineskin. So let me drink. This is going to be my only glass. But hey, look, I also got Rufino Fresco Rosé, which is uh, uh, it's an Italian champagne. You know, I learned something new the other day, right? I learned that this is the Italian champagne. This is the Italian sparkling wine, and the champagne is the French sparkling wine. I never knew that. You learn something new every day. But I will not open this bottle until this bottle is a celebration of my 12th year. So it'll be my 12th year, and it's also for the year anniversary of Fly Girl Zone, as well as be celebrating uh, stained glass windows for Butterfly. If you have any questions or would like to speak to me, you don't have to agree with anything that I say. If you want to talk to me and you disagree with what I say and you want to talk about it, we can. I'm not offended by that. You know, I'm not offended by anybody disagreeing with me. This is how we build, right? This is how we build. And it's okay to disagree with someone. It's okay. But also, uh, make sure you visit my link tree. And on there, you can ask Bliss, and I will get to your questions, and I will answer them on a live or in Fly Girls Zone magazine. But also, if you are led to do so, Fly Girls Zone needs some donations to keep the lights on. Thank you to everybody who has donated so far. It is really appreciated. Um, we can use more. So if it can be as little as $5, as much as you want to give. Um, Again, my name is Shantae Bliss Barr. My name is Shantae Bliss Barr. I am a life coach. I am a life coach. I am an author, and I am the editor of Fly. I am always looking for people to write. I have a couple of meetings in the next few weeks with people, and I hope they go well. I hope I bring on some new writers. I did have some writers that were coming on, but things happen, and the door is still open for you. You know, but things do happen. You know, life happens. You know, this is my link tree. Just so you know. Also, if you want to submit some of your work to be reviewed, or you want to submit an article, or you are interested in writing for Fly Girls on magazine, and you want to help, out in any kind of way, Fly Girls on magazine at gmail.com. Contact. Also, let me say this. Um, I'm not here to judge anyone. So I'm not judging anybody, LGBT community. That's not me. How can I? You understand what I'm saying? When I have relationships, I understand. I get it. Okay? I'm not ashamed of it. I don't have a reason to be ashamed of it. I've already, me and God, we already have a relationship with one another. Every question that I have is with Him. I'm not looking down on you. Okay? I'm not here to judge what no one else thinks I do either. You know, God doesn't like any sin. Okay, and no sin weighs next uh, uh, no sin weighs more than another person. So you shouldn't let that keep you from talking and building a relationship. Again, this is King Sis, not bitter. Check her out, y'all. Again, you can visit my website, my coaching website, and schedule your free coaching session at www.amia.co. We have been discussing countering slut culture. Don't forget to go visit Fly Girls on Magazine, y'all. I am still working on the website, but listen, let me tell you something. Okay. Oh yeah, when you go there, make sure you go to the right hand, right hand, and there's the 3 bars, and you can get access. But the front page right now is coming soon. It has coming soon because there's still things I need to work on, but you can still go there. I'm still transitioning everything over. If you want to help with this, I would love to bring on people that want to write blog posts, for the magazine. Need all the help that I can get, and I won't turn anyone away. But yes, I am Shantae Bliss Barnes. I pray peace upon you, and I hope that you enjoy this week. Be patient with your healing, okay? You weren't hurt overnight. Pain didn't change you overnight, and you are not going to heal overnight, so be patient with it. Remember to honor your mother and father. Respect your sister and your brother. Be kind to your neighbor. But most of all, honor, respect, love, and be kind to yourself. I love you all with the love of Christ.